Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me in this series, and we are almost finished but not quite. There's still a couple more. This video is going to be a little different than I originally planned because some things didn't film quite the way I wanted and some things went a little haywire, but all that means is that you actually will be getting more content on this video. So instead of just doing one face as I originally planned, I have included 3 faces here for you to watch me draw and paint. I did this because I missed some things with one face and included it in another face, and it was all just kind of confusing. So rather than try to refilm, I just decided to go with it and included all 3 faces. I still condensed quite a bit, so hopefully you can stay on and not get too bored. There is lots of good information in here, so get your coffee, tea, pop, wine, whatever, and let's get started. Alright, so we are in part 2 of this video. I have got my coffee and I have got my wine. Coffee probably needs to be warmed up, but whatever. And if you haven't watched part 1, you can go ahead and do that. I'll put the link right there. Basically, this is just a continuation on the things that the 7 things to remember. There's more. There's obviously much more information I could give with doing a face, any face, but that was just, you know, something I thought would be helpful right now for people that are starting. And so this is just kind of implementing those on an actual face. I did draw a face in that video, but it was just kind of to show examples of different things, so it wasn't really a face. And I have in my art journal here, I have a few things. I have this video, I have a part 1 where I did the background for this, and a part 2 where I just painted this in a time lapse. And I don't have a video for this. This is just, this is with washi tape. I do have a video on how I made this washi tape though, so you can check that out. And then I have a couple of things. This is just things where I tried out, you probably saw this page when I was making the Paint Writers video, and then just different things that I was trying just for backgrounds. And I was thinking this would be cool for just like a really loose kind of abstract face. So I'm going to do that, but I want to show you how to do kind of like a mixed media piece, like a whole kind of thing. So I'm going to do that on here, but first I just want to do some painting on here and add a little bit more color. If you are interested in how I am doing my mixed media backgrounds here and in the next page that I do later on in this video, then please check out my video on mixed media backgrounds. I will put the link up in the top right corner. So you'll hear a lot of artists say that the more sketchier, the more scribbly portrait is, the less, or anything really, the less concerned people get with accuracy. So there are some things that need to be accurate, as we mentioned in part 1. The eyes, the placement of the eyes, nose, and mouth are just, if you have those in the right place, you can get away with a lot. So as we're working, I just kind of want to talk and just have a relaxing time here a little bit. And I'm going to see if I can talk and walk, or talk and paint at the same time. So I am dividing the face. These are general rules that any portrait drawer knows. So you draw some, like kind of an upside down egg shape, an oval shape. Lots of people have different approaches to drawing the face shape itself. And you know, we can kind of, I just kind of draw this. This chin is probably going to have to come in a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Right now I just kind of want a rough little idea for the face. And I might actually, just to kind of, not to miss, let's just kind of leave those out for a second. And for the most part with eyes, you want to have an eye width between the eyes. So if you have an eye in the middle, like a, you know, a cyclops, then that same width will be your eye here. okay? And eyes are in the middle of your head. Your head does not start at your headline up here. At your hairline, sorry, your headline. This is the top of your head. This is your hairline about here. And then your eyes are in the middle of the head. Then you put that in half, and you have your nose. And we're just going to start with a little curve. And then you put that in half from this line to here. And this is the line of between your lips. Okay, so let's just do a rough job of the lips here. And then, now remember, I'm trying to do a mixed media face. And this swoop of the lips here, just for some reason. My problem is I feel like I always get this too far apart. My face is always too long. So, and then I'm just going to kind of draw the eyes here. Remember to draw a little bit of the corner of the eye. So I'm just drawing two little slits. Now remember what we talked about. The iris needs to be covered at the top. We don't see the iris. I stopped drawing this line in the middle. Okay, and this line is your eyelid, so it should be a little bit heavier. So I'm going to draw a little bit heavier, and I'm just going to draw a little bit of an eyelid there just to get started. And let's just draw the pupil. And we want to leave that little light in there. It's called a catch light. That pupil needs to be bigger. So actually, I find it easier to leave the sides out till a little bit later. So I've just drawn this simple nose. I'm going to draw a little bit of a nostril here, and then this flesh area right there. And that's all. And let's do some eyebrows. So Jane actually suggests, this is one thing that I saw in her book. She said, just do a little check mark and then a little tail and then close that check mark. So I figured that was a good, so that's Jane's idea, not my idea. So I haven't taken any of her courses, but she does have some, and I'm on a mixed media group. I suggest that if you are looking for some more resources, join Jane Davenport's mixed media group. If you search that term, Jane Davenport mixed media group, you'll find the group, and you just have to request to join. The Paint Writers video where I did this was an idea I got from her blog, actually. So there's lots of ideas on there and lots of people posting things, and you can get such good inspiration from there. And Jane Davenport actually comes on all the time. She's always on there. It's actually really great, and I was kind of surprised when I first joined when I saw that she was on there so much, because I assume she's quite busy. So now if I look at these rough lines that I put in here, they're too far apart from her eyes. I'm actually quite happy with this face. So I am going to roughly just, now I'm using all water soluble things, and you will find out in a second why I want to do that. I sometimes use her magic wands, but especially if you're just starting and you're a little bit unsure, use water soluble because it can benefit you greatly. And you can't erase it, but you can work with it, and you can move it around, and you can use it to shade, which you're going to see in a second. So I am going to draw the neck here. If you want to draw ears, for the most part, I actually don't draw ears. I find them super complicated, and I usually use hair to cover it up. And sometimes if I am having, and I can't get an eye right, I'll cover up her one eye, or I'll cover up part of her eye with hair. You know, hair can do a lot of things. So let's just, for the sake of this video, I'm going to draw a little ear, and I can't even say that it's going to be the best ear ever. So just feel your own face, and your ears actually start basically at your eye line. Think about it. When you wear glasses, the glasses go back and sit on your ears, right? So that's where your ears start. And then you don't want to draw them like that because ears go back, right? If you're drawing a portrait of someone, you'll want to pay attention to their ears and stuff so that it will actually end up looking like them. And then you kind of just want to round out this chin as even as you can around the mouth. Otherwise, the mouth is going to look off. Remember, going back to what I said, look at the surrounding areas. You know, if your mouth looks off or something, but you can't figure out what it is, it might be that your face is over, you have your face over, or you could have your lips over. Just look at other areas. And one other thing I wanted to mention with the nose, since I'm working on the nose a little bit here, we don't have an outline, remember. We don't have a definite outline, but as soon as you turn the face, a 3/4, halfway definitely, you start to see the outline of the nose because your features change and your nose might stick out past your face if it's a 3/4, and definitely, obviously, if it's a full half turn, right? So then, in that case, you will see a little bit of an outline of a nose, and you'll be drawing more of a definite line for the nose. But even then, always the rule is shadows and mountains. Mountains on the face and valleys on the face are shadows and highlights. Also a good thing to remember, and this doesn't really matter because faces can be whatever color you want when you're painting them. Shadows are generally purple. Our face has different tones all over it. We have like whatever flesh tone color we have, but then we have some purple tones and we have some red tones and we have some green tones. I am very olive colored, and apparently that's supposed to be like the best kind of skin to have. I do tan really easily, and I don't burn very easily, so it is awesome for that way. But I definitely have a green tinge to my skin, and when I was in elementary school, kids would, like, I literally would get called alien, Martian, or greenie. It didn't really bother me. I was just like, okay, I don't understand why they're saying that because I don't see it. And now growing up, I'm like, oh, it was the olive skin. Back then I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. So it never really bothered me. I just thought they were like, what? I don't know what they're seeing. I don't know what they're talking about. I guess they never really got too mean with it, but I was confused, and I thought they were out to lunch because they were calling me green skin. It's like, what do you mean? My skin isn't green, but it actually is. When I go against someone that has red skin, like my husband, who's like redhead, he's like Irish, it's like, I have such nice golden skin, and he has like bright red tomato skin after we've been in the sun. It's very funny. Okay, that's talking about different flesh tones. So the next thing to do, make sure you add a neck. A neck always kind of helps to really cement your photo or your portrait. It's not a photo. I am going to paint a face for you on this side here. I've already actually done this one here. So there will be, at the end of this one, there's going to be a time lapse of this face as well. And so you can do this with matte medium or Mod Podge. I'm going to use matte medium because I do want a whole coverage of matte medium on here for my pencil. And you can also use clear gesso or gesso, white gesso. And actually I might do a little bit of white gesso first just to tame this down. And but it's not as sticky, so I don't usually use that. Many people say you can. I don't tend to do too much with using it as an adhesive gesso. that is all done. I covered it all in matte medium. The reason why I wanted to cover it in matte medium, Mod Podge would work too. I always use matte Mod Podge, so, but it's still a little bit more glossy, it seems, than at least this matte medium. And I have a whole bunch of Liquitex. It's just that this is a handy thing to have on my desk here. So the reason why I like to have a nice matte but slick kind of plasticky surface is because it's really nice when you're using these water-soluble pastels, oil pastels, Jane's Aqua Pastels, her Power Pastels, to blend that in. So, sorry, I've always heard it called pastels, but some people say pastels, so I think either one will work. And then use these China markers. I finally got some China markers. I couldn't get any in my town, which is really annoying, and they took forever to order. I ordered them a month ago, and it was literally these two. I don't understand why it took so long. But anyways, I finally got them. So these are helpful. The other thing is what I was talking to you about in the other video was these Derwent water-soluble sketch pencils. And they are, I bought these in Staples. I haven't ever seen them in Michael's or anything, and I'm sure you can get them online. I don't have a watercolor finish on here anymore, so it's not going to be, this is a plasticky acrylic surface. That's what acrylic is. So just keep that in mind. Once you do this, if you put watercolor paper here and then you cover it up with gesso or whatever, you're not going to have a watercolor surface anymore. That doesn't mean you can't use watercolor products on it or water soluble products on it. You still can, but you just won't, it just won't work on watercolor paper if you had left this, like if you had left this alone. So the first thing we're going to do for the face is we're just going to figure out where I want the top of the head. And as I'm looking at this, I would really love to do kind of like a 3/4 turn head, or just a little bit of a turn. But for the sake of this video, we're going to do straight ahead, just like her. And I'm just going to kind of mark my top here. And so I'm just going to make a little mark here, and then a little mark here. So that's my top and bottom. So I'm not going to do, I could do the sides of the face, and I can rough that in if I want. But I think what I'm going to do here is I am just going to do the eyes first. So let's pretend this is my oval here. If we're going back to that thing that I talked about with critical thinking, when I do critical, this person does not look that great. I always do this too far apart. My faces are always too long. So I want to really try to, it's just my tendency, so I really want to try to shorten my faces a little bit. Or at least get to the point where I can shorten my faces. So I'm going to try to do that here. We'll see if I'm successful. So I'm not going to draw that oval, but I'm going to use those guidelines. So here's my halfway line. So this is where my eyes are going to be. So I'm just going to draw 2 slits like that, and about the same width apart. So just as wide as that is, I want that in between here. So let's say that's about there. And then I want, okay, so that. And then my nose is going to be here. So I'm really trying to and then my lip is going to be here. I'm going to see what this is like here. Do that more of a swoop. And then I have this here. And let's just put a little bit of a line in it. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of work on these eyes just a little bit. Actually, let's do it that way. bring that up. Just refine this a little bit. This needs to come down a little bit. I want her eyelashes to come down over her iris a little bit more. Let's fill in that pupil. I'm going to leave that catch light in there. That's what the white light is called, that catch light. And my nose seems to be far away from my mouth again, but we'll see if I can maybe bring my lip up a little bit. That might help. Okay, and then let's fill in some eyebrows. So as I said, I have not taken any of Jane's courses yet. I'd love to, just because I am not used to painting faces in that style. And then this is going to come down just a little bit, so I'll just indicate that. And then the sides of the head, I do like them coming in a little bit at the eye. And just a little bit here around the chin. And we want this to be, and I'm going to try to loosen up here. There we go. That helps. Okay, so now I've got my face basically roughed in here. So how do I feel about that? That's okay. I think that's okay. Her face is still a little bit long. And then I'm going to do, let's do an updo on her. So let's just see here, and let's make her kind of have an interesting hairdo, or like a little updo thing. So remember our hairline, even if we're doing an updo, our hairline still is going to come from the back, right? It doesn't all of a sudden, like we have hair all coming from the back, so we need to indicate that, right? And don't draw a straight, like perfectly curved line or a perfectly straight line. Hair has shape in it, right? And I want to have her kind of having a little bit more of a hairdo here. Actually, let's give her even more. We can work with that. Now that's a triangle hair. We can work with it. And then this, I'm just going to give her a little bit of a hair coming down here like that. And then the ears will probably show, so we'll just indicate them just a little bit. We don't need to indicate them too much. Now she looks like she's got a baker hat on, but we'll work with it. All right. So I'm liking her. Now let's add a little bit of paint. I don't want to add too much paint. With this one here, which you will see, I don't describe anything. It's just a time lapse, and it's just a very quick. I probably did this in like 3 minutes. This drawing, but I'm still going to time lapse it a little bit faster. And I just did it very scribbly and intuitively. So I want to make sure this one has a little bit of a loose style as well, but I'm taking a little bit more time with it. But I do need to add some just interesting kind of, oh, we need to give her some eyelids here. Just bring that in. So we can start going to our Caran d'Ache or the Aqua Pastels. And I'm going to give her some cool color. I want to leave a lot of this background color in, but I am going to fill in her face a little bit with some skin tone. So let's do, let's just bring out some of this pink that we've already got here. I really like it, actually. Maybe, actually, here, let's see what this green is. Ooh, I like that. And we do want to do her eyes, though. So let's give her some, what color of eyes should she have? Let's give her some brown eyes with some blue in there. Let's see if we can do that. So let's start with the blue first. Give her some darker blue eyes. And then just put a little bit of orangey brown in there. Like a burnt sienna, maybe. We'll have to go back in and add the white back into the eyes. That's not a big deal. And when we do the lips, you want to do in a curved stroke to give volume. And I usually, when we think about lips, the bottom lip is bigger than the top lip, but I like to make my top lips bigger. I don't know what Jane, actually now that I think about it, I'm not sure. I've always liked to make my top lips a little bigger, and that comes from my favorite artist, Pino Dani, and it seems like his figures, he does realistic artwork, but I would definitely check him out. I'll give you the link here, or I'll here's his name, and then I will put a link to my Pinterest board. I have a Pinterest board completely dedicated to him. He does the most amazing paintings. They just, like, he paints a lot of women, and they are just so pretty. Like, they're just so beautiful, and I just love them, and that's how I would like to paint my women. And you can see me trying to do that in my fine art paintings that I have. And actually, I'll put the link to some of my paintings up there. Or actually, I'll just show you some. Here's some of my paintings that I've done that show me trying to paint like him, which I don't do the best. But you can see, so this, even without me blending on, like using a purposely blending, I'm just going in with the white, and you can see how that works. And you can do that here and just bring in a little bit of white up here. See how that lightened it, but we still see the color? Oh, I love it. And this isn't like a paint over pencil. You're not going to be able to use this as your white. Also, keep in mind, if you use any kind of wax pastel or oil pastels or wax pastels that are not water soluble, it'll be hard to go over them with any kind of water or anything. They'll do a resist, like any kind of like inks. But if they're water soluble, then you can kind of work with them a little bit because you can use water to kind of move them around. And I'm just going to, I probably should add some paint now. So a couple different things that you can use for blending. You can always use a Q-tip. And what else do I have for blending? Let's see here. So I use a little silicone tip. Jane Davenport's Power Pastels have a blender in them. So whenever I get my hands on those, and there's a sponge, keep in mind, even with the matte medium on there, if you're really working it, you can kind of work down into that. And that can be dangerous because then you start ripping up the paper, then you're getting back down to the paper. But that's why we put the matte medium down, so that we can, and that's why I use heavier paper. Also, an old candle will work, especially for oil pastels. So just try to find some things like that. Okay. What was I going to do? Oh, I was going to add just a little bit of paint on here. So I'm going to use Jane Davenport's paint. And I think I'm going to mix it with some white. So I'm just going to put it down here. And I'm just going to mix it a little bit with white because I don't want it to be super transparent or super super intense. I just kind of want to blend just a little bit, but just to make it look a little bit more blended, but not enough to take away what I have. And there's a few different techniques you can use for this. You can use a dry brushing technique, which I'm using, and that will help to give it a more painterly brushed look. And if you wet your brush, you're going to have to blend more, which is definitely needed at times. Don't get me wrong, but you won't get a look like this. It's going to start becoming more, you're going to have to work with it a little bit more. And you'll get, that's when you want to blend more. So if you want to do more of a painterly, just roughed brush in look, use a dry brush, and then when you need to change colors, or if you do want to clean up your brush, just use a paper towel. But when you're done with that, you do still need to clean up your brush, because that acrylic paint will harden on here and wreck your brush. So once you're done with your brush, then go ahead and clean that off. Don't leave it. And with shading, I'm going to add a little bit of this purple just around these scribbles. Now remember, this was this is water soluble, so if I go in, actually maybe I will, I'm going to go back in with this. So now I do need a wet brush, not super wet, just a little bit wet, and I'm just going to use this as a way to bring out some shading. See how that, now the China marker is not water soluble, and you can just wash that away and just use as much as you want, shade as much as you want, and you can even bring some into there if you want. And I think I'm going to need to shade a little bit here. I'm going to add so I'm just going to start out really light, because I do want a little bit of shading to show her nose. Let me show you the oil pastels. I don't want to work too much on here. I want to be careful, but I do want to show you how the oil pastels work. Try some of the mermaid markers. So I don't know what this is going to look like, because I'm trying all sorts of techniques here. And generally, I like to use, okay. So that actually looks really cool. But before that gets carried away, I'm just going to tap that up. And see how that added just a little bit there? Actually, I really like that. So generally, if I do that on that side, I kind of like to do it on this side, but I'm not going to, because I want to show you the oil pastels. And I don't want to put the oil pastels over that, because that's still wet. So this, and then actually let's use the candle. Where did I put it? Oh, right here. See? Doesn't that look really good? And then we can even go in with the white. This will do it even more. And you can blend that in, and we can go in and add some more red if we want. And remember, the middle of her lip is darker, so I do need to bring out the middle of her lips where they part. So let's just, I'm just going to draw that in here. Maybe use a little bit of a brown in there. There. Kind of got a little bit of a, we want to indicate that. And I need to blend that out. So these are my Pentel oil pastels here. And these would be similar to what Jane's aqua pastels are. Or not her aqua pastels, her power pastels. I'm just going to use both terms, pastels and pastels, just so that you guys can all not get upset with me. I know there's a lot of you that wouldn't get upset with me. And again, thank you so much for all those comments, for everybody's comments. I'm looking forward to choosing someone to, it'll just be a random from all the entries, and then I'll just randomly pick it, and I'll probably do a video of that. But I'm going to Calgary to have a sister weekend. I have 4 sisters. No, I have 3 sisters. I'm the 4th one. I'm the oldest one. And I have 2 sisters that live in Calgary, and 1 sister that lives down the street here from me. And we are going to drive down to Calgary and have a sister weekend. And we're going to Stampede, which I've never actually been to. And we're going to go into Banff and just have a little sister time. Okay, I'm really liking using these. So I am actually blending this grease marker out. And I actually haven't tried that, and I'm loving it. So I'm going to do it a little bit around her face too, because it just adds some of that. Oh, look at that. That's amazing. Oh, sweet mama. Love that. Let's just see if we can bring that down. Oh, I'm trying. Yeah, I really like this. Let's just do the same thing with her hair. I don't know, part of me doesn't even want to mess with her hair. It's just whatever it is. I might just draw some color in there. Draw some flowers or something in there. I could do that. Okay, so this is with the China marker, the black China marker. And there is a white China marker. And it does kind of do a little bit, but not as much as like a Sharpie would. You still have to kind of go in. Oh, I'm liking her. I think it helped a little bit. Her face doesn't look so far apart to me. I should probably emphasize the nose a little bit here. With what? Maybe just a pencil. Let's just do a pencil. Show that, the little, I don't want to show that too much though. A lot of people emphasize that ball, and it looks great. I just don't know if I'm into doing that. Kind of looks weird, don't you think? I think it looks a little bit weird. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the way I do it. Probably just the way I do it. Yeah, I don't like that. Okay, whatever. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to bring out some highlights with just white wet paint on my hopefully dry brush. Yeah, this is pretty dry. I didn't even check it before I started using it. I also use my fingers a lot to blend. And no, I don't want to put that over there because I'll forget to wash it. Let's add a little bit of just some shading in here. So let's try that with some water. So even just like something down there just makes a whole difference. And these write really well on here, so we could do like just some kind of flower mess. And we can even do, we could stamp something down there. Okay, I want to grab my Sharpie. And I just bought these, but I cannot get them to work, these white opaque pens. They're useless. Like, I'm going to stop trying to buy them. They don't work. I cannot get them to work. It drives me nuts. So if anyone has a tip for me on that, that'd be great. And I do have Jane's paint over pens, but I kind of wrecked the tips of them. It's working a little bit here. Probably doesn't work good to do oil over them. Let's try the Sharpie. And just keep going back and forth. I'm going to just put a little bit of a, to show that. And then, so now I need to come back in with the black and just make sure that I'm got that pupil in there. Well, let's give her some eyelashes too. You don't have to give eyelashes, but I really like eyelashes. It just seems to help. Her eyes look black. They're not looking very bluish brown, are they? That's okay. They're kind of there. Blend this a little bit. Get this center some flowers, or give these flowers some center as well. What else does she need? I think she's good. We can just kind of emphasize a little bit of the shoulders here. Just to give her, she's got a little bit of an attitude there, just putting that at a slant can help. And then, you know, we could give her a little bit of a, and that just helps to give her a little bit of a personality. It just helps to, whatever. You could give her earrings. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to bring these out a little bit. So basically we just painted the face. I kind of don't want to mess with the hair too much. I like it just like that. Just bring out some more of these black marks. And she's just got like a really cute updo, I feel like. Don't make too many marks with the hair. Otherwise it just starts looking stringy. So there's that girl. And I hope that helped you out. And now I'm just going to show you the time lapse that I did with this super, super loose sketch where I just didn't really think too much. And so this is my go-to kind of girl, really long face. And so that just kind of, when you do it more intuitively and just like without thinking, then evaluate it, you know, that tells me I really need to work on a few things. Like I really need to work on not making the face so long. It's fine if I'm painting someone that has a really long face, but I don't want all of my paintings. I want to be able to paint someone that doesn't have a long face. So, yeah. Anyways, I really like her. Yeah. I'm just going to do a quick sketch. I'm not even going to paint it. So this is just going to be with my sketch here. So the reason why someone might want to do a really quick, intuitive, not thinking consciously type sketch is because you kind of learn what your default is. So in this, for example, I learned that my default is to paint a face really long. I mean, I already knew that. And that mouth is way too large. It's just way too big. So this tells me what areas I need to work on, I need to concentrate on, so that eventually I can intuitively paint the way I want to. Okay, so I wanted to do that quick sketch so you could see. Now I did it in time lapse, but honestly, it was very quick. I just made really quick movements, scribbles, not paying too much attention, just trying to do really intuitive. I'm not planning on painting this. I'm just going to leave it as is. So, and this looks really cool. It's got these flower things on her face, and I think that looks great just that way. If you wanted, you could do a little bit of color in here just to give her a little bit of life. You could add, bring back these whites because they're kind of important. So this is something you can do without adding paint and just still doing a, whoops, that didn't work, a drawing in an art journal, and there's paint, but there's not, right? Make sure the whites of the pupil are there. Make sure the whites of the eyes are there. And this is just done with this pencil. And then you saw that I added a little bit of whatever. And then there was a light wash in the back. So some of these lines are going to be stronger. The eyelid's going to be stronger. This line below here is going to be stronger. I'll add a little bit of a thing there. And you might have to bring in some of these. Don't make every line the same thickness. Right? And then some I washed out and some I didn't, and these are just shoulders and whatnot. And again, my face is really long. And part of that is actually my perspective. When I do it at an angle, so it actually looks a lot shorter to me than when I look at it on the monitor, on my monitor, then all of a sudden it's like, why is that face so long? It doesn't look that long when I look at it. So it does help to draw it at a little bit of an angle. That's just a quick little thing. But I love this sketch. Like, I like her hair, and I just like how free and expressive it is, and it's very easy to do. So I suggest you try, and just doing little scribbles helps you really get more kind of free with it. I didn't concentrate. I just started drawing, and it still is long because that's subconsciously I draw faces really long. And I really want to shorten up her face, but I don't know how to do it right now. There is no way, really. You know what? It's okay. I can paint another face. And that one I can try to make shorter. So this is one of the last videos. Not quite. I have a bonus video I want to film for you. And I just got to check and see all my videos on my computer. Because I think I might have another one that I have done, but haven't uploaded it yet. So again, there is one or two more videos. And I will for sure let you know when the last one is ready for you to view.